What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the English Prescription, brought to you by myself. What's up, Johnny?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is. It's definitely
I don't know what the origin of the good morning thing is.
not morning behind
I
Shane. What's
always
up,
say good
buddy?
morning until I leave and I say good night. I did that at work for 40 years.
So the other morning when I saw you, was that nighttime? The other morning when I saw you, at what, 3:45 in the morning?
That was good morning.
It's definitely not morning where Shane's at. It's a nice little backdrop he's got going on there. What's
I
up,
like
buddy?
that.
Hey, good. How's everybody?
Good.
Good, doing good.
Peachy.
Is that your yard, Shane? You got a big yard, man.
Yeah, it's the front yard. So
Nice.
I'm trying to get things going for landscaping. So I've planted, I don't know, 5 trees so far. So
Right
got
on, man.
sprinklers trenched and valves in place, and I got to work on drainage and all that too still. So
A lot of work.
Yes, it
yeah, it's a
is.
lot of work. Just not enough time. So
I just built my girlfriend a little planter box. You know, you slot the little planks into, and I felt
Uh-huh.
accomplished after doing that. That's the most
Yeah.
landscaping I've ever done. It's like four 4x6s, like 4 feet long each.
yeah, you growing some veggies in them or what?
Something, yeah, cucumbers.
Gotcha.
Dude, what is going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah,
It'll-
you got to see my backyard, my wife's backyard.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty
it's amazing.
landscaped and amazing, I'm sure.
Yeah, she has like 70 big rose bushes. We have several peach trees, plum trees,
Oh wow.
lemon, orange. It's people go out back and they're like, "What are you thinking?" I go, "Well, it's my wife's yard. She does all the work." So
Wow.
yeah,
We lost
Yeah,
our host here.
yeah, he'll be back on. Yeah, I've planted I'm a Japanese maple guy, so I've got 2 Japanese maples planted. And I planted 2 river birch trees, and then a this tree, I don't know if you guys could see it, but it's called a flamethrower. It's a red bud. So the leaves come in like fire engine red, and then they kind of go towards an orange, and then as they mature, they turn to a green and then a chartreuse yellow.
nice.
So you have like a huge layer of amount of colors all year long, all year round. So
Nice.
That's cool.
yeah. So, but yeah, it's just super quiet out here. You know, we had this little concrete pad poured, and just sitting out here on this little patio and hearing all the birds and neighbors driving by. We got a ton of birds across the street, so we get to hear them all night long. So
That's cool, man. I'm happy with my little patch here in my backyard. It's not very big, but I just like to sit out there on breaks between work.
oh yeah, it's so nice.
Oh yeah.
There's a question in the chat. Hey Joey, your new Melones video where you throwing the Duo Realis small rubber jig. I was actually throwing it was a Japanese brand. It was Imagatsu, and it was a tungsten casting jig. Like a 1/2 ounce, I think. They're pretty sweet. They're really compact little tungsten jigs.
Joey
a cool
throwing
video.
jigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do well on jigs.
And he power shotted all his fish at Berryessa.
Yep.
Yep. 16-pound test.
So
That video's out too, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to be quick with putting videos out. Trying to get them out within a week.
That's
fill
good.
me in on the power shot technique. I mean, is that just a drop shot and just heavy weight and
Yeah.
throw it so it goes down super fast?
Yeah, I don't know, like, John, maybe you know, like, the proper name for it, because I think a lot of people think power shot, they think like a punching drop shot rig. But I think anything above 15 pounds line power shot with a heavy weight, like half ounce. That's what I think of
Yeah.
a power shot.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's called power shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're drop shotting with a flipping stick basically, and heavy line, and you can put whatever lure on it you want. You know, if you're fishing a lot of brush, 15-pound test instead of 6 or 8, and pitch it to the trees and give a little couple shakes here and there, and next tree.
So obviously
Yeah.
weedless.
Yeah,
Mine wasn't.
most
Mine
of the
was
time.
tucked. It was Texas rigged,
Okay.
or what do you call it? Where you tuck the hook. But at Berryessa, they were biting everything, so it wasn't even a matter of like what kind of line or hook can I use. It was like how big can I make it go, because they were just going to bite everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I just tried dropping it on them, and they reacted to it at Berryessa. And it was like all open water too. It wasn't even like bushes or anything like that.
Yeah, that's how I got into them up at Trinity. But it was, I mean, I was just throwing a drop shot rig out, and they were just, falling it down and hitting it on the fall.
Yeah,
So
it's not a
that's
cool
how I
bite.
got them a couple of years back. So
That was a lot of fun.
Oh, it was a blast. Yeah, you just Joey scoping it, seeing that Lone Ranger out there and throwing it out there. They would just go right after it. Boom.
Yep.
You'd
If you hit
almost
them
call
right,
it every time. You'd call them every time. Oh, that just depending on how it was moving to it. If it shot real quick, you're like, all right, game on. It's gonna catch it. So yeah, it's a fun way of fishing and catching them.
Heck yeah. So I don't know, dude. Sorry, man. My internet's a mess and my computer sucks and whatever. Anyway,
it's all
Welcome to
right.
my
We
world.
continued on. You're good.
yeah. So we're on the phone. So, dude,
You're
105
fired.
inches. I know, right? Just kick me off the show. He's done. Anyway, dude, 105 inches. I did watch your day one video, and dude, 23 inches. It was only 6 pounds, dude. The post spawn. What do you think, or what?
Yeah, that 23 was 685, I think.
Okay,
And it felt like it. I kind of called it. I think in the video I said this is a 7, but then I caught that 22 later, and it had a much larger frame on it, but it was empty and it weighed about the same.
I got you.
So
So,
that
what do
one
you
was,
think?
yeah, one of them was post spawn, one of them was like just got done spawning. It seemed like.
I got you. So they weren't quite all fat and happy after the spawn, all fed
Yeah,
up.
it was a mix of everything. Like there were empty beds. Most of them were fat pre spawners, and then there was a handful of like post spawners. It was the whole
I
gamut.
got you. I got you. So going into that tournament, what have you fished it before? Have you been out there? Or is that your first time on the lake or what?
That's my first time at SSVR. The only information I had was like looking at YouTube videos, and my impression of it was like the deepest point was like 8 feet from the videos. I couldn't find
I
anyone
got you.
fishing deeper than 8. So when I got out there, it was immediately like 30 feet, and I was just like, "This is awesome!" Like I didn't expect this, so I started off at that in deep water.
Okay. So you're a little bit better than what you thought. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a cool
Yeah,
and you this year
at
You're
SSVR.
freezing. You're freezing
dude.
up,
Oh my
James.
god, I don't know what the hell's going on. Um,
Yeah, I mean, right now, SSVR is pretty pressured. I mean, I think I was out there probably about 2.5 months ago, and when I pulled up, there was only probably 2 boats, and the next thing you know, there was like, by the time I got on the water, there was probably like 20 or 25 freaking trailers in that parking lot.
Wow.
Because
Really,
the lakes
man.
because the lakes are shut down, man. So
Wow.
everyone's going, Tolik shut down, so everyone's going to Salt Springs. So and the last I knew, they were trying to limit the amount of trailers they were only launching. So I think they were turning people away at some point. So it's
Yeah, that
Yeah,
heavily,
parking
and
lot.
it's such a small. such a small body of water. So,
Hmm.
you know, it's heavily pressured at this point.
That's not. I mean, I'm sure it is. Like I didn't know any better. So when I got there, I'm like, this, place looks like it had no pressure at all. There's like 2 boats, maybe 3 boats over the course of like 2 days. And in my head, I'm like, dude, this is great. These bass have probably never seen a minnow. Like this is gonna be easy. There's no pressure on this lake. But I didn't know any better. And it fished that way on day one. They ate really well, and then day two they completely shut off. Not completely, but almost.
I think that's because they're moving still, coming in or going out, or you think it just the pressure finally got to them over the
I don't know what it
course
was. It
of the
wasn't the
second day.
weather. It wasn't the weather. They just, for some
Well,
reason, turned off.
that
I
lake's
really don't think
pretty
there was enough boats on the
notorious.
lake for them to feel the pressure that day, though.
Yeah. What was that,
Yeah, that.
Shane?
Oh, I was just gonna say that lake's pretty notorious. The bite, is good in the morning, and then it just kind of shuts down. So it's pretty notorious for that. So, and every time it's happened, I can't figure it out. I can't figure out exactly where those fish are going or what they're doing. So, it's not a
Yeah, that's
real.
what day two was like.
There's a lot of nice crappie in that lake. I don't think there's any shad in that lake,
No.
that I'm
I didn't see
aware of.
any.
So, those fish, primary food source is going to be crappie or bluegill
Bluegill,
or
bass.
crawdads. So,
Crawfish.
yeah.
So I got a
Yeah.
couple of questions, Joey. One guy was asking, I could figure out how to do this on my phone. How do you prep for a tournament? Are you at home slash what's your magic behind the prepping and going into pre-fish if there is a pre-fish?
Uh, well, I can take like this one as an example where there's no pre-fish. Like I start with Google Earth and I draw the lake down. So you go back in time, you see when the lake was low, and then you find the areas that I start off with what suits me best. So I immediately gravitated towards like the creek arms that are in the lake. And the creek arms on that lake were like maybe 4 feet deeper than the rest of the lake. And they weren't very pronounced. But I marked them on my, um, I marked the GPS waypoints on Google Earth, exported that to my fish finder. So I at least knew where the creek arms were if I wanted to find deep water. And then when I got there, I'm going to start with what I'm good at, which is deep water right away. And if that doesn't work, then I'll start progressively moving to the things I'm not as good at, which is like shallow water fishing. But I'll start with my strength first. So that's how I approach it. And I ended up using those waypoints in the tournament once I realized there's a deep bite. So then I just followed those waypoints and I basically rotated them. There's like 5 creek arms, I think, on Google Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And then for the mooch minnow, what's your favorite jig head size and why? And that's kind of a hard question, depending on what the fish will want, right?
The Mooch minnow was actually pretty new to me. Like Clear Lake was really the only time I used it. But my favorite size for that one is like probably an 1/8 ounce. And no, actually, that's a lie. I used it at Folsom. That's when I first used it. And I was using a 3/8 ounce tungsten. So it's a really, really compact, very, very heavy tungsten jig with a very short shank hook. But the hook is the reinforced steel. It's a VMC Redline tungsten 1/0 hook. And it's so compact for the weight and it just fits that mooch minnow so perfectly. And you can be really efficient with getting that mooch minnow down to the fish and then just like casting, retrieving. Whereas like a 1/8 or lighter, you have to wait for it. Like at Folsom and at Clear Lake, it's a little bit heavier. You throw it down, you can get it back real quick because it's a lot heavier. So I've been really liking that hook a lot. And it's a 3/8, so it's actually not very
3/8.
traditional. Yeah, 3/8.
So you're looking for those active fish. So you're hitting them, moving it quick, and if they're gonna bite, you're on. If not, you're on to the next one, kind of.
Yeah, which is not usually how I usually go about it. But for some reason, that mooch minnow this year has been like it's just been like a get it to them as quickly as possible and just see what their mood is, and they usually eat it. At least this year so far.
Nice. Yeah, the stroll bite up the Clear Lake's definitely slowing down. That's for sure.
Oh, I don't want to hear
They've
that.
seen they've seen a lot of minnows, and it seems like you gotta earn them. You definitely gotta earn them.
Yeah, it seemed like everybody was doing it last 2 months.
Oh, dude, since freaking December, bro. Like
Well, you
they've
see
been getting,
every boat, everyone's just doing this.
dude, they've been getting hammered with minnows since like December. Like it's been nonstop up there with them. So it's slowing down a little bit. You still catch them on it, but it's slowing down for sure.
I'm still
Yeah,
gonna
they're
look for
more,
it this weekend.
yeah, they're more into the spawn, you know, now that the water's warmed up, temperatures gotten warmer, but you can still catch them on the minnow.
Water
Wasn't
temps
the
holding
one
set
bass
with that warm.
wasn't the one bass tournament won on post spawn fish though? I thought they were done.
I'm not sure. I know
They were
listening to
throwing
some of the stuff that
minnows.
Nathan Phillips was saying, he said he does feel like there a big portion of them have spawned already, but I'm not sure. We didn't look for beds this weekend. That wasn't what we were doing. So
Gotcha.
Well, up here at Pedro Saturday, I saw fry garters. They were balls and there were fish guarding them. So
but the lake's so high, dude. It hit 8 foot on Sunday. I mean, those spawning fish are way back up in that stuff, dude. Like,
You can't
good
get to
luck
them.
trying to. Yeah, good luck, because that lake is full still. They
Hmm.
haven't let no water out of it, so they're holding it high for the spawn. It seems like, and they're gonna let them do their thing up way up in the sticks, and you know, it's
I
healthy
remember
though.
the, remember the first time I got my kayak and the rod standing up in the behind me, and I start going into the trees. I hear something, and I turn around and look. I got 3 rods stuck in this tree. And I'm like, oh boy, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah,
So, yeah. In a boat, you just put them down on the bottom and you got to worry about
and we tried to snag a few on a tree this weekend or two.
it. Yeah.
Wasn't how we
Yeah.
were planning on fishing, but it happened. So,
Gotta
but
adjust.
yep, we definitely had to adjust. That's for sure. So
So,
yeah, I don't
Joey,
know.
those creek channels you found, did you see those long points that stuck way out in the middle of nowhere? Super
Yeah.
flat, super flat, super flat, and then there'd be like a little ditch in between the next long point that stuck way out.
Yeah, you'd be out in the
Yeah,
middle of the lake and like you'd forget if those points existed, and then all of a sudden you'd be up in 5 feet of water, and you're like, "How is there
yeah,
anything out here?" But yeah, they go way
right.
out there.
Yeah. Yeah. The first time I went out there, I took my boat out there and I always turn on my electronics and I started going across the lake and I quickly shut it down. And I looked to my right and there's a rock pile right there and
yeah,
about 2 feet of water. I'm like, whoa, okay.
I don't know how many times I've been out there and I've watched someone going across the lake and I just watch it going, "Oh, bud, you're in for it, you're in for it, you're in for
Yeah,
it," and then it's like just waiting for something to happen because you know it's going to happen. I'm sure it's happened plenty of times out there.
That lake's
yeah.
probably claimed quite a few lowers and props over the years,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for
Yeah, we
sure.
have
So
a we have a little mountain like that at Lake Sonoma. There's a right at the ramp. There's a little island, and depending on the year, it's either covered or it's not, or it's 2 feet under. And people are always plowing over that thing with their boats.
Hmm.
so you get out there, you're following the deep fish. Assume you start off with the minnow.
Yeah, I put it away after a few casts though. Like it was obvious that wasn't it. That wasn't it.
Yeah, just the lack of bait fish in that lake.
Yeah, and I kind of there's a few lakes near my house that are like that. There's some strip pit ponds that are like all largemouth ponds. Also, like I guess Lake Hennessy wouldn't be an example, but they usually don't pay much attention to a minnow. So I kind of had some history with like, okay, that might not be the deal, but I'm gonna try it. And I tried it, and they'd follow it, and they would just nose it all the way back to the boat, real lethargically. So I'm like, this just ain't it. So I think I gave it like 4 casts maybe. Try to rotate it in again later, and it just didn't work. So I just went to that Nico pretty quickly. I think within the first half hour, and
And
they were loving.
what size weight were we throwing in that?
I think it was a 3/32 ounce tungsten weight. Yeah, and it's a pretty thin worm. It's Big Bite Baits Nicorama, and it's like maybe half the diameter of like a Senko. It's pretty thin, so you need a thin nail weight to put in there. But it's really long, and it's a finesse worm. And
Yeah.
on day one, they were eating it somewhat suspended, but on the fall, and then day two, they wanted it on the bottom pretty much.
Were they holding
So
tight to the vegetation on day 2?
Yeah, it took me a while to figure that out. It seemed like it was like deeper water leading up to the tule patches or the floating vegetation. They were usually around there, but it took me like 6 hours to figure that out. But there's no
Yeah,
roamers on day two. It dried up completely.
yeah.
that's crazy.
On that lake, I found that you could, like the dam. I remember cranking the dam, caught a bunch of fish, and then I went the next day, never got a bite. So I started kind of like point hopping, which is, you just go along until you see a little hump and get a sinkhole. I throw it out there, and it had to be that either the viney stuff or the tulies or some type of vegetation, and they would be around it, and just 20-pound test with the Cinco, and I throw it in that stuff and pull it out and let it drop down and donk, they'd snap that line, and that's kind of like that shallow water technique, on lakes like that. I wish I could do that at Clear Lake. At Clear Lake, I try it and never get a bite, but you know, sometimes for me in the past, that was always the ticket. Yeah.
Yeah, there. I had I had a shallow spot that on day two I really needed it because like I wasn't panicking on day two. Like I had a limit before noon, I think, but it was like, am I gonna like 3 or 4 fish this day too? Was kind of in my head. But I found like I don't know if it was like a house or like a 2-story like pontoon or like dock thing in the water, but there's this giant structure in the middle of the lake. And I went back twice to that spot, and it was kind of my fallback, and I was able to pull 2 fish with the worm off of that structure. So like I have this back pocket insurance policy, but thank God that was there.
Yeah, that's my buddy's
Can we
car
edit this,
that the
please? Can we edit this, please?
that's my buddy's car he dumped over there to get the insurance money from it.
Yeah.
No.
I know what it is, but
No.
yeah, I know what you're talking about, Joey. I know specifically what it is, but yeah.
It's probably a sunken duck blind, I'd imagine.
Hmm.
I think it's bigger than that.
No, they've got a pretty big one out there.
They're
With
big.
the ducks, yeah.
Yeah.
That lake closes down during waterfowl season, and they're out there hunting, so you can't fish there in the winter.
Yeah, they
Gotcha.
pepper each other. That lake, when they shoot, they pepper each other, shooting all the waterfowl.
Yeah. But
Yep.
It's an amazing lake, that's for sure. Definitely amazing lake.
It is a
Yeah,
really
it's
cool lake.
crazy. It's crazy the quality of fish it has for how small that place is. You
yeah.
know,
Hmm.
Well,
and I mean the crappie are huge in there. The bass are huge, and there's no shad in the lake, which is crazy. Like the fish population is that healthy without that much, that style of bait in the lake.
Yeah,
soon
they
you'll
eat the
be able to
bluegill
do
and crappie.
Yeah.
throw the frog out there here soon, and even go out there and punch those mats. Those mats will grow. They'll just be matted all across the lake. So
I remember taking the
Heck yeah.
kayak out there, and I started on the launch, then went to the right. I went straight across going towards the river. And this is before the motor. I was pedaling. All of a sudden, I feel this resistance on the pedals, and all of a sudden, I come to a quick stop. I'm like, what? And I look down, like, wow, okay, like 300 yards away from anything, and I'm on the bottom. He's like, really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely a shallow water lake. And So Joey,
Yeah.
so you were mostly Nico fishing, and then on day 2, did you try any drop shot, power shot, or
I didn't. I had a power shot rigged up, and I think I bird nested the first cast, and so I didn't have the patience to undo it. So I just stuck with an eco and just force fed him it the whole day.
okay?
But I
And
think a drop shot would have been more productive, probably.
were you shaking it a whole bunch and stopping
Yeah,
it and reeling, shaking? How are
yeah.
you working
I
it?
try not to shake it too much. I shake it to keep their interest. Like they'll follow a worm. Like if they're eating it on the fall, they'll
Uh-huh.
follow it, and then if it's too straight, they'll kind of lose interest and peel away. But if you just like give it a shake every now and then, they'll like follow it all the way down. So I've learned that little trick. But shaking it, but not like it's just like this the whole time. Just like okay, keep an interest, keep an interest, keep an interest. Eats it off the bottom. So that
Nice.
seemed to be the ticket that day. But yeah, worm fishing with like live scope is always so different from day to day. Like I've been working on fishing this way ever since like December. I was really trying to like use the Nico for shallow water fishing. And I actually like really enjoy like live scope Nico fishing. It's a lot of fun. But there's a lot of nuance to it because sometimes they eat it up, sometimes they eat it down, sometimes they eat it on the fall. And there's some tricks you can do to get them to eat it on the fall.
And you could swim it just like a minnow.
Yeah, and if you rig it right, you can pull it and it'll vibrate like a crankbait too,
Mm-hmm.
which is a
Mm-hmm.
sneaky little deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Joey's not only a minnow fisherman, but he's a Nico fisherman now. So if he ain't shaking a minnow, he's shaking a Nico.
Shaking something.
Shaking
Shaking
something, that's
something.
right. He's out there
Need to have a
shaking that
shirt
money
say
maker.
that. Shirt needs to say that. Shaking something.
Silva fishing, always shaking something.
You ever throw a jig, Joey?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love throwing a jig.
Yeah.
Um I like throwing a jig for big schools of fish because I feel like you can peel off the big one out of a big school with a jig.
Mm-hmm.
Um and then I love dragging a football jig. Like that's what I got fifth in the WCC last year was dragging a jig on rock
Clear
piles.
Lake.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
on Clear Lake. And then I like getting a reaction bite with the jig, like just dropping it on their heads, and then they like kind of freak out and they turn on it and they nose on it, and sometimes they'll pick it up. If that bite's there, I love doing that.
All right.
So, yeah, jig. I love throwing a jig. Um, that flutter spoon, Nico rig, and the minnow are probably my four strongest ones.
You ever caught one on a minnow dead sticking it in the bottom of the lake?
Only by accident.
I'm telling you, I was fishing somewhere out by the house and I make a cast out there. It's like, oh, there's a brush pile. So I'm down there messing with the graph, marking it. Pick up the rod. I was like, oh, it's heavy. It was like a 3 pound smallie. I was like, all
Dang.
right, off the bottom. Here we go.
Yeah, I can
That's a
never
good way to catch
get
them.
that to go. They always ignore it when it's on the bottom. But
Yeah, I know.
unless it's
It
like
was.
brown color or some like weird color, then they'll like sometimes do it. But yeah.
Although I am thankful they finally had my 3 favorite colors in Sakamata shads back in stock today, and I ordered some. So
What
finally
are your
got
favorite
some.
colors?
Wagasaki, Silver Shiner, and Electric Shad.
I like Electric Set. Or is that the one
That's
that they
got
carry at Clear Lake Outdoors? Is it like a blue
Uh,
flake?
yeah, it has blue in it.
it's Electric Shad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a
those
good
are
one.
those are my 3 favorite colors, and I can never find any of them because they're always sold out. And I stumbled across the internet at 4 o'clock in the morning this morning. Bam, they were there. No, it was 3:30 this morning. I found them. It's like hell yeah.
I bought like a year's supply, so I think I'm good.
Dude, I was running out. I haven't been able, I've got a lot of different colors, but my favorite colors I'm running low on. Dude, I burned through a pack. One of them almost this weekend. One fish on it, they're done half the time. I'm like, damn.
I don't think I've
You could
caught a Sakamoto shad fish in a tournament this year, actually.
Well, I've got quite a few this year.
Yeah.
you
Quite a
can
few.
fix those.
I know. I got plenty to mend it. I got a whole pile of them on my bench at the house I need to mend.
What do
So
you use? Because
You
I've
can
tried that, and like my whatever I'm using to mend it, it's like thick and hard, and the plastic is
mend
soft,
it.
and it just doesn't work. That's it.
Mend it. Legit mend it. Yeah. I've done it. The Damien gave me a pack when we were in Oklahoma, and I was like, had a couple packs I bought from the Classic Expo, and that was it because you couldn't find them at that point. So I'd mend them, and I don't know if I'd throw the mended ones on tournament day, but out fun fishing or whatever, they work fine.
Nice.
I think I fixed a couple of them at least like 3 times before I threw them away.
If you get a soldering gun and then put a fine wire tip on it, you just make your own fine wire and just turn on the soldering gun and then stick it in there and slowly pull it out and it mends it right together, solders it together. Yeah.
No,
Makes sense.
melting it back to itself.
Yeah.
Have you thrown the mooch minnow at all?
A little bit. I haven't. I've only thrown like 1/8 ounce heads or lighter. I think I need to go a little bit heavier. I haven't played with it a whole lot yet. Um, I did finally catch my first range roller fish the other day at Pedro, big fish at our tournament we had. So I've
Nice,
thrown
dude.
those at Folsom. Thrown them at Folsom. I've thrown them other places, and I don't get the reaction out of it like I do out of other baits. So I have them, but I don't think I'll buy more.
They're
Honestly,
stiffer, so I always thought of them as like a cold water deal, like where they don't want any action at all. That's when they play. Like last year, the first couple tournaments, it played super hard for me with the raid rollers.
yeah, I do. I threw them this winter. I even threw them this weekend, and 59, 60 degree water temp, and they didn't want it. Sakamata shad and throwing the Z-Man jerk shad,
That's a
and I'll
good one.
bounce back and forth between some of those and a couple other different ones here and there, and some different heads, and you know see which one they want to eat. And sometimes I'll throw, I can throw a Sakamata shad and hit them, and they don't eat it. Pick up my Z-Man rod, throw it right back in there, and I have that same fish in the boat.
Yeah, that's the perfect rotation is like you start big and they don't want it, and you just follow up with something finessey.
Same size though,
Oh,
same size
okay.
bait. Yeah, I don't even downsize the size of the bait. Just change the bait profile on them. It's
Yeah,
weird.
that mooch has like spoiled me though, because they don't like. I think I used one in like that Clear Lake tournament. Like I caught all those fish on one minnow,
Yeah,
You glue
that's
it
the
and
to
hard
then
part.
your hook.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I last year there was a tournament where I burned through like 5 packs of Sakamata shads. So it was like
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's
if I
50
could get
bucks,
away
That
with,
60
last
bucks.
that
Yeah.
last tech, man. They're a pain in the
yeah,
ass to get lined up on the hook right though,
oh
but
yeah,
freaking A.
yeah,
You're sitting there trying
You're
to pull it on
pulling
that
it, trying to
over
get it,
the lead bait
you
keeper.
pull
Yeah.
it way out and try to get it to,
Although I
freaking
guess if you just ran with the Z-Man minnow head, you might get away with it a little bit easier. Obviously, but that lead keeper on some of those heavier range roller heads is a pain in the ass to get that Z-Man over it.
yeah. That's what I
That's a
used for
good
2 years
bait.
was that jerk shad, man. Like that was a staple for me, and I've gotten away from it. I haven't thrown it in like a year. They're
It's a
good
good
though.
bait. I know a guy that catch minnow fish without a live scope in the back of the boat with that thing.
Yeah,
Does it all does it all the time, man. You got another one? He's like, yep. I'm like, what do you need a live scope for? You're good back there.
probably not even shaking it because that thing doesn't really roll at all. So you just like stick it, dead stick it, and they eat it.
Let's shake it. I shake mine a little bit, get a little bit of shake.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, it's dude. I can't wait honestly for the bite to change a little bit because I'm tired. Dude, my back is killing me at the end of the day staring at that stupid thing. But or you gotta be on the trolling motors nonstop for 8 hours because you broke your lower unit. That also isn't fun either. But
just put it on a 5 foot pole, dude, so it's just sitting straight at you, man.
yeah, right. Dude, we were cutting across the north end of the lake, going back towards the ramp, and Matt's like, "Hey, dude, don't you have a remote for that thing?" I was like, "Dude, you are a genius." Grab the remote, sat in the driver's seat. By the end of the day, dude, my back was dying. I was like, "Oh my god, I just want to sit down."
You
Yeah,
know what head's been working good for me is the jaw dropper.
oh yeah,
So
yeah.
you know how the fish will follow you all the way right below the boat, and then once it's under the boat, I'll just like pop it like a spoon, and then they take it instead of For me, I've seen them where they just follow it, and they get underneath your boat. And they just sit right there underneath your kayak, right below it, and then I just pop it around a little bit and hook up.
Although, dude, I
Yeah.
caught it was a 6-6 this weekend. Hit the bait right at the boat, and it straight up tacoed the range roller head, like almost in half, the
Yeah.
hook shank in half. And dude, somehow it stayed pinned, got into the boat, and went to go fix the bait. I was like, "Holy crap, man! How'd that happen?" Like it came up with some force, dude. Smoked it right out of the boat.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah, I haven't seen a hook bend like that on one of those yet. So that was a new one.
If you guys get a chance, try the VMC Redline hooks. They're really expensive, but man, it's like you can't bend them out, even the 1/0s. And they
Really?
keep those like Elastec baits, like the Mooch Minnow.
Hmm.
Uh, they have the perfect keeper for them. It's designed for it, and it just like it stays on, and the hook is just like super high quality and never bends out, even for such a
They're
small
getting
little compact deal.
they're hard to find right now, though, right?
Yeah, I think they came out like what 6 months ago, and they've been sold out for a while. But I think they're starting to become available at like Bass Pro and stuff. You can get them.
I'll have to try that. Yeah, that was the first time I've been out one of the range rollers. I was like, "Ooh, good thing that we got it in the boat." But yeah, because it was tough, man. Although 33 on Sunday and almost 33 one on Saturday.
Dang, dude.
So they're still putting out some big bags up there.
Are you think? Do you
But
think
you
it's going to
also,
translate to the kayak when you move back to it?
yeah,
Like your forward
mhm.
facing skills that
Yeah,
you
oh yeah,
developed on
for
the boat?
sure. Yeah, it's learning. I've played a lot of with. I mean, that's not what we caught. That's what won this weekend. Um, but yeah, no, definitely for sure it'll help. I just I kind of standing and fishing in the middle. I like to shake the rod to the side, not mess so much of a vertical shake with it.
Yeah.
I feel like when they want it on the lighter heads, keeping it higher in the water column on the shaking it to the side helps me keep it more in that a nice streamline. You know what I
Strike
mean?
zone.
And not get the bait to rise too much. But yeah, so that'd be interesting. As far as sitting down in the kayak or standing in the boat, or that'll be a little bit different, but
Yeah, when I'm
for
lighter
sure.
weight, use lighter weights, I'm off to the side, and the heavier weights, I'm up
Mhm.
top.
Yeah,
I think it's just a
and that's
comfort thing. I don't know if there's a logic to it.
and honestly, if you're shaking a lighter head and you're up here shaking it real aggressive, you have so much slack in your line. Like I think you're doing more harm with that bait. You know what I mean? And you lose connection with it because you got all that bow in your line. As opposed to keeping that rod tip to the side. It's kind of what I've personally is what I experienced with it.
I use a little
But
bit heavier
yeah.
braid, so if you're off to the side though, you get a benefit of like the heavier braid is laying on the water. So if you're using a lighter weight and you're twitching off to the side, you're laying more braid down, and it helps
Mhm.
keep that lighter jig head more elevated in the water column
Oh, yeah.
and not sinking
Hmm.
as fast. But like a heavier weight, I want that thing up in the air so it's dropping as quickly as possible. Get that braid off the water. So
Yeah, it makes
there's a
sense.
couple benefits.
And like usually, like especially some of the fish aren't super deep, so you gotta keep that heavier head up and keep it moving quicker. It's easier to shake it up here and on that heavier head. And I think the heavier head also keeps it on that it keeps it on that nice level plane too, because you don't have all that slack in the line. Like you would
Yeah.
on that light head. Is just what I've noticed, but I've gone away from the heavier heads right now. I have the heaviest I'm throwing is an 1/8 ounce.
That's because you're
So
fishing shallower.
not necessarily, John. I'll fish that eighth ounce, and that's with a Z man on it too. That's throwing, so
That's
it's
a
floating
slow
it
flow,
even
yeah.
more.
Hmm.
So I'll throw that in 20 feet of water, no problem on
Really?
weight. Yep.
Wow.
3/32. Is that what I've been throwing? 3/32 on the 5-inch Sakamata, I think is what I've been throwing. But that thing sinks quick, dude. That with that weight and
Yeah.
that 5-inch, it does sink a lot faster than you think it does.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
does.
So, because I took a buddy of mine out in the middle of winter, and we're fishing a brush pile, and I caught it was 713, but I was using a 1 point. It was a 1.3 gram head, I want to say, and he had an 1/8 ounce head on, and he didn't understand. Like I was like, "Hey, dude, just watch." He's like, it's like, "I caught that fish." He's like, "I'm like, dude, go try it, throw it," And he couldn't keep the bait above the brush pile and
Yeah.
fish it effectively as slow as it needed to. Because I mean, dude, you had to hit the water, wait out, eat a sandwich while it sank, and you had to keep that thing. You had to keep that thing right above the brush in that perfect line, and keep it nice. And then when they come after it, you shake it a little bit and you just stall it, and just it stay almost without sinking for a while, and then they get their attention again. You keep it coming again. And after he was watching on the live scope, he's like, "Holy crap, dude, that's crazy!" How fast the 1/8 ounce weight sunk. He didn't think it was. He's thinking 1/8 ounce. That's light as hell. No, dude,
Yeah.
it's not. So,
Hmm.
but it's all situational. Some days they're gonna want quarter ounce weight and 17 feet of water, and they want that thing moving and grooving quick and shaking it fast and aggressively. And then other days they might not want that. So. Yeah, a lot of guys will ask me about it. So you gotta let the fish will tell you what they want.
Yeah.
So, so Joey, whenever you have the fish follow your bait and starts getting close to the boat, and it looks like the fish is going to take it, and they don't. What do you do to make them take it?
Um. Well, to follow up on the same fish, you could try to get a reaction bite on them, like literally just drop it on their head and rip it away from them. That's like a trick you can do.
Hmm.
But if a bass
You're
is
talking
following,
a
good.
different cast though, right? You're making a second cast at them,
Yeah,
trying to
like
hit them in the
a
head.
second cast. Yeah.
But let's
Um,
say at the boat end of the cast, the fish is following you back.
Yeah, he's right by the boat.
I think
What are you
the
gonna
only
do?
thing I would do in that situation is like drop a Senko on him, or like if I have a really lightweight Nico, maybe he'll follow it down. But I wouldn't make a second cast at it if it was if it
You
saw the
don't
boat.
you don't pause the bait under the boat or try to rip it away from them last minute or nothing.
No, I usually just bring
If
it in and
they're
move on.
okay,
Yeah.
You
In my
found
head,
that.
if they see the boat, like they're most likely not going to bite. That's how I usually work it.
and that's the crazy thing too, because I've had them do it both ways. Where I've caught, I mean, I caught that 6.6 this last weekend, 10 feet from the boat. I mean, he just came up and annihilated it, followed it all the way back, and then last minute just decided to eat. And some days they don't. And I've caught a couple where you drop it back down and they'll follow it back down, and you rip it up a couple of times real quick, and then you got the fish on. So
Yeah.
I
Maybe I don't
eh,
play enough with like follow up casts with bass that follow over the boat. But yeah, I usually just move on.
yeah. Because it's typically within the same cast. You're watching it, and you're like, "Oh, I'm running out of room." So you just try to do that one last ditch effort to try to make them bite.
Yeah.
So yeah, curious
So
if
how do
you
you
played
like
with
that,
that one at all.
that sniper mount?
Oh, that thing's the best. I used to have the Summit fishing specialties pole where you have to like turn it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm constantly sweeping all day long. Like it's constantly doing this. It's never not doing this. And I was wearing out my shoulder with it. So when I got that, it was a game changer. And now I can like turn it to the side or in back of me and just like flip behind me, So like I don't even have to be like facing the direction sometimes if I'm really feeling it. Um, so like it saves me and it's like it gives me more angles without me having to like reposition the boat, which is super nice.
So what do
Um,
you do if you spot a fish, right, and you're like, "Oh, I need to get a better angle at it." And every once in a while you'll reposition, and then but you're at your transducer's at a different angle on that where that fish was, and may not see it again, may not. Well, are you dropping waypoints on these fish before you reposition, or what are you doing?
no, if I can't find it again, then it wasn't big enough to start with. Like if I see it and I'm like, okay, let me reposition, and I reposition and I can't find it, I just move on because it's like that fish isn't big enough to show up on the screen the second time. It's not worth my time.
Okay.
Um, So yeah, like it's always gonna have a return. But yeah.
Makes
But
sense.
I usually won't reposition unless it's like the wind's a factor or like I feel like I can make side casts pretty well now, like off to the side.
It's the ones when you're on the trolling motor and you're hauling ass, like, oh, that was a good fish. And you stop and then you turn around, try to find it. You're like, oh shit, where'd it go again?
Yeah.
You know?
If it's a big one though, like I'll take my time and like set up my shot. Like if it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's either a catfish or that's a big fish, like I'll stop, orient my boat and like put it at the right distance, like 40, 50 feet, and I'll like make it perfect.
Just
Because I don't want to
wait
mess
to
it up.
see. Yeah, wait for it to pop its ugly head back up and you're like, oh, there's that little sucker.
Yeah. But if it's like a
Yeah.
cookie cutter fish, it's like I'm not usually gonna set it up like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
What about the fish that are cruising the bottom? You know how a lot of times when you're going along and you see all the fish bouncing off the bottom, they look like
Yeah.
a bowling ball rolling down the break or whatever. Do you ever target those?
Yeah, there was a few in this tournament. I think there was one in the day one video, and there's a couple in the day two that I haven't put out yet. But I actually usually have to change my settings to like see those fish. Like if they're all on the bottom that day, I'll change my settings, like I'll adjust my color and my gain. A trick you can do is like you can run your color gain if you have a Garmin really, really hot, like 80, 85, which makes everything on screen come back brighter, and then
Hmm.
dial your gain back really, really low, like 40s and 50s. So the only thing that really is popping on the screen is like the wood doesn't pop, the rock doesn't really pop as much, but the bass will pop under those settings when they're on the ground. So that's a little trick you can do if you're seeing too much clutter on your screen, and you want to pick off those bass that are on the bottom. So um, I will target those fish, and usually it's no different. Like I'll still stroll them or use an eco rig. Um, no different than if they were mid column.
I
Dominic
remember.
wants to know, you planning on jumping on a boat anytime soon?
I want to.
All right,
That's.
we'll make it happen, Joey. We'll go find a tournament and go fish it.
I'll say this. A week ago was the first time I ever sat down and looked for used boats.
Nice.
Yeah, and I have no idea what I'm looking for, so I don't know how much it would cost to get a decent used boat that's ready for competition. But it's something I want to do within the next 2 years for sure.
Nice. We'll talk later. And I'll once I get mine fixed, we'll go out and let you play with it and see if you like it.
Yeah,
And just get an idea what's what. So
yeah, and just to like
all
take
three of us
family
have
out
owned boats
to fish
before.
too.
So yeah, you got three
Yeah,
guys right here that can help you out on that.
sweet.
Yeah, I got a bass boat and two kayaks. So yeah.
I want to fish one bass too. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
How
one
long?
fun.
bass
They're
is
How long would you guys say it takes to get like accustomed to like boat orientation and like lining up your casts? Get all that dialed in on a boat from scratch.
quicker than a kayak.
Yeah,
Yeah. A kayak blows around a whole bunch and moves quite a bit. In a boat, it doesn't move like a kayak does. But the one thing I have noticed is a kayak is way more stealthy, and the fish seem to use the kayak as like shade. Where if you're in a bass boat, they're like, "I'm out of here," because you know what I mean. The amount of displacement that a boat makes scares a lot of the fish. You know, I've caught buzzbait fish with less than 6 inches line on my kayak. I've never done that in a boat.
yeah, that makes
Never,
sense.
never.
Yeah, and
So
just make sure you get a, what do they call it, turret, whatever, for your forward facing that's separate from the
oh
freaking trolling
you
motor.
want to go ahead and
Turret.
splurge on a
Yeah,
DD26 live foot. Just throwing it out there.
yeah.
What's that?
The DD26. Their live foot, freaking fantastic,
It
dude.
it moves the transducer separate from the trolling motor.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Because
it's
if you're
it's it's
sitting there
a
with a trolling motor and you're trying to stay in wind and you're constantly moving the dang thing, you can't get,
Are
in
they
my
both club
opinion, it
controlled?
sucks.
yes.
Mhm.
So I get spot lock, and then it's basically like a power pull switch for your foot. You know what I mean? So you
Left
got a
and right switch.
left and right switch on the floor, mounted right next to my trolling motor
But can
pedal.
you operate
And then
both
it
in motion
also
though,
yes, but
like
I
without
also
spot
have
locking?
I also have a remote. So if I'm cruising the bank on the foot pedal, I have a remote with my power pull remote that I sit there and pan as I'm cruising on the trolling motor.
Gotcha.
It's kind
Yeah,
of
I was
hard
like,
to
I'll
do
be the
both.
only
It's
guy
kind
with
of
a
hard to do
marine
both.
pole on my boat,
No, it'd be hard
sleeping.
to do both with your feet at the same time. It's just you'd be way off
Gotcha.
balance. So having a hand remote while you're cruising is perfect, dude.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't realize that existed. Do they use them on like the Elite series and all that? Like, are
Some
the
guys
pros?
do, some guys do, but a lot of them don't, dude. They don't run them for whatever reason. They're a little
Is
heavy, but
yeah, they
they're
keep them on their trolling motors.
Yeah, I just can't
yeah.
stand there on the trolling motor, and
And
yeah,
it's got
drives
the
me nuts.
built-in. Dude, you pull a pin, flip it up, rotate your transducer, you're in perspective. I mean, it's as simple as that.
That's cool.
So
Yeah, it'll happen one of these days. I gotta start saving up,
yeah.
So it's expensive.
Stop buying all those fancy rods. Save up for a boat, right?
I can't rationalize any more rod purchases. Like I have too
Why
many,
not?
and they're all too expensive. So
You can never have enough.
Yeah, well, no
okay,
shit, huh?
that's the rule,
Yeah.
huh, Dominic?
Oh,
Has to be
keep it
on
on
the
the trolling
trolling
motor.
motor.
Huh. Yeah, I think he's right. That did come out. Because, dude, the live foot's money. It is straight up money. So,
I'm curious.
yeah. Like I said, dude,
Yeah,
once I get it fixed, I'll let you know and we'll go meet up somewhere in between that we can actually put the boat somewhere. And I'll let you
so
play with live foot and all that nonsense.
Be
so a
sweet.
brand new boat, you could finance it for 10 years. Okay. So $200,000 boat with all the goodies on it.
Is it really?
That's
Come
not
on, John. 200K?
okay, 150.
Dude, a Bass Cat, a brand new Bass Cat, a 21-foot Puma STS right now will run you about 120 without anything
Holy
on it.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can get a Ranger for 75. You can get a Phoenix or something, a little bit cheaper than that. Um, you don't have to
But
go with Bass Cat or a Vexus, or you can find a decent used boat. Just
well, so a new boat, it comes with all the warranties. So if your motor takes a or grenades or whatever, and then it's under warranty. So you just bring it in, they fix it, no charge. And that's a 5 year, and that depends on which motor. So it could be 6 years or seven, but 5 years, let's say 5 years. So every 5 years, you just buy another one and always have that payment, that 10-year payment, whichever, whatever it may be, unless you want to pay it off. I always like paying my stuff off. But yeah, that's what a lot of guys do. They just have a 10-year loan on a boat and they don't expect to pay it off and they sell it and pay the loan off and buy another one.
Dang.
Yeah.
or
Yeah, I
buy a
don't think I can
cheaper
stomach the
used boat.
interest.
Buy a used boat, roll
You
with
could
it, and
buy
hope to God it doesn't break.
Yeah, you could buy a used boat, but it's again, it's you don't know how it's been ran, you know. Don't recommend buying it from certain people. I won't say who, but uh least amount of hours the better. And if it's been
Yeah.
garage kept or outside or whatever, you
And
know,
honestly, the best bet is find a mechanic that you know through people and see if they might charge you $300 to inspect the boat. Say yes or no.
Hmm.
You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah,
Like
definitely, definitely do that if you're
it's
buying a
worth it.
used.
And
Yeah,
but it's
definitely
hard
do
to do.
that.
It's hard to do that because a lot of those guys won't travel and look at a boat with you. They want it brought to them.
Yeah.
So whoever the seller is needs to be willing to allow that to happen too. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, you go for a test ride. See how you
don't
like it.
don't yeah don't buy it by running on the muffs. It needs to be on the water and you need to know that it runs fine on, because it might sound great at an idle, but say you put it under load, it might run like shit. So it
Yeah.
needs to be an on the water run, not a here's the muff. So if you don't let you put it on the lake, don't even bother.
Makes sense.
So
Yeah, if you find a
I was
boat
thinking
that's
like
too,
60,000, but okay, I guess I'll double it.
no, you can do that. You can find a really good used boat for
Yeah, you can
60K.
find a good
Like
used
hands
boat for
down.
60 grand.
You can find a really
yeah,
good boat for 60. Let's
Just
say
take your
brand
time.
new one. Brand new one, you're gonna I think like a Phoenix, if you want a brand new 21 foot, it depends on what size boat you want, you're looking at 70 grand or so, without all the options brand new. So
and that's no electronics.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. Yeah. There's options, dude, but for 60K you can find a hell of a used boat. It's got everything, rigged out. Might not be everything you
Oh yeah,
want, but you can always pull, say it's got some Lawrence's on it, you don't want them, pull them off, put your Garmin's on, put your Hummingbirds on, whatever you want. So
Yeah, I'd
there's
be happy with
options.
one screen at the console and then one up front. I'd be cool with that.
You'll want more because you want your map.
I don't even use
It's
my
it's
map
hand,
now.
dude. It's handy, like especially if you're
I
waypointing.
got to use that to switch to it.
If you have your live scope compass calibrated, and you have certain, like say, brush piles marked on your graph, that beam will always be pointing on your map somewhere, and you just line that beam up with your waypoint up there. There's that brush pile again.
Yeah,
It takes that. It's nice. It's cool when everything works together.
yeah, I've done that.
yeah.
I think my compass isn't calibrated anymore, so it's since like has stopped working. But I do it. But I always have to switch to the map, so sometimes I'm just like, screw it.
That's where the second graph comes in handy. Which
Yeah,
if you have what, a 10 on your kayak right now.
10.
A 10,
Oh,
what size graph
10
do you run?
inch.
10 inch, yeah,
106. Yeah, 10 inch.
yeah. So you dude, buy another cradle for it. Leave and power wire and
It's too
just
much. There's not enough space on that kayak. I've thought
no, no,
about
no.
it.
But I'm saying on the boat, if you want a
Yeah, yeah.
boat, you could put a 12 to stay dedicated to the boat, and then you just buy another cradle and power wire for your 106, and put that so that you just swap the
Oh,
graph
I
back and
got you.
forth from the
Yeah,
cradles,
yeah.
and you can run it on the boat or the kayak, and be super simple.
Yeah, you want to have the 22-inch in the front.
NVT.
Yeah, yeah.
Those
I'm
things are
Yeah, that
sweet.
would
serious.
be nice.
There
Yeah,
goes another 10
look
grand right there.
look at all the people that fish the opens and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
elites. They have that big one up front. Yeah,
yep.
You don't need it though.
yeah.
You can just get a nice beat down outdoors mount, bring that thing closer to your face. I think,
Stick it on right in front
You
of
see
you.
how
dude. I'm
close
telling.
Reed Frazier has his screen to him?
Oh man, yeah, yeah.
It's right here, dude. It's like right
I'm
here.
Hmm.
telling you, I'm telling you, my back hurts at the end of the day on a day when they're on a minnow bite. Like, I mean, I have a bad back anyway, but dude, it's legit hurts at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Staring down at that thing. I'm gonna eventually buy a beat down outdoors mount. Get that thing to be able to bring it up and actually see what the hell I'm doing without
Well,
hunching over.
eventually they'll have goggles that you'll wear, and then you'll be able to see all
I've
this
looked into
on
that. You could do
goggles.
it now. You could do it now. I've
Mhm.
looked
Yeah,
into it. They have
there was
AR
a there was a
glasses.
pro. There was a pro that was testing it out last year. I want to say
Yeah.
a pair of goggles for it.
Yeah, he was using it
You,
in practice.
yeah,
It's
and then
crazy.
it's
Like
gonna
equivalent
be
of like
where
100 inches, 100 inch screen or something like that.
yeah, yeah. I mean that's what you want. Just don't turn and let them blow off your head when you're going 70 miles an hour across lake. Turn and the glasses go flying in the water.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, that's how I
I
lose all
had
my glasses.
I had an earbud fall out of my ear in Folsom somewhere.
Yeah, they fly
Sit in the
out.
bottom,
Yeah,
sit in the bottom of Folsom Lake. Yep. Thank God
yeah.
you could buy just one. I had to buy a whole new set, so worked out all right.
Hmm.
You lose a lot of
Yeah,
stuff at 60 miles an hour, Joey. Just saying.
I remember once I was on the family boat growing up and I had a tackle box. It was like everything I saved up for like a year. I loved everything in this tackle box. And we were going so fast down the lake, it flew out. And by the time I like told my dad it was gone, dude. Like you can't like say anything when you're going that fast. You can't be like, "Hey, stop the boat." No one can hear you. It was just like
Hmm.
all my favorite belongings just out the boat, dude. And no one could
I
hear me like, "Stop the boat."
I may or may not have donated a life jacket to Don Pedro. About $100 inflatable life jacket. So if you guys found it out there floating around, it's mine. I would
Wait,
bring
how
it
does that
back.
work?
Inflated.
I sat down after fishing a spot, not on a tournament day, just out fun goofing off. And I ate lunch, and apparently I fired the big motor up and took off running and forgot I didn't have my life jacket on. So I flew out of the boat somewhere.
Probably inflated on impact.
Oh, I'm sure it's somewhere. And I looked for it, and I'm like, I bet you somebody
Someone's gonna
snagged
think
this thing.
someone died. Like, you come up with on an inflated life
Hey,
jacket.
Come up with it. There's
An empty
nobody in it.
inflatable. No, just some idiot forgot to put it on and left it on the back deck of the boat. So it's out there somewhere.
Yeah,
I let
don't
my
do what I. Go ahead.
I let my son borrow a couple rods. We went on vacation. He had a tournament. He went with a buddy and his dad. And I said, dude, do not lose this rod. It was a HP 7. What was it? HP 731 or 741. Either way, that in a Vanford. And when I came back, he came up to me. I thought he was just pulling one over me. He's like, "Dad, I lost your rod." I'm like, "No, you didn't. Where's my rod? You just, you know." And he's like, "No, seriously, Dad, I lost my rod." They took off in the boat, and the thing is in the middle of Orville somewhere. Someone's found it, I'm
Man,
sure, at some point.
So
Yep.
don't do what I do. So you know, like your measuring board, right? So I had it in front of the console, and I'm at the Delta, and at that time it was called a Willie Go board. It was a little red thing, and it's kind of like our yellow boards, you know. Anyways, I took off down the main channel, and the board lifted up once. And I was like, "What is that?" And the second time it lifted up, it slapped me in the face and flew out of the boat. And I was like, "Jeez."
Oh,
And then another
that's funny.
time I had on my terminal tackle, and I had the box there and it was open. I had a bunch of toothpicks in it. I used to get the toothpicks and I would, you know, do certain things with the toothpicks. And I'm going down the lake and pow, pow. I'm like, what the heck is this? Pow, pow. All these toothpicks were coming up, hit me in the face. And I realized, oh,
Uh,
gee. So, yeah, make sure everything's secured before you take off. That's what I'm getting
dude,
at.
I
And tucked
had
away.
yeah, I had my GoPro on the windshield, and we're ripping down Pedro during that BVT a couple weeks ago. And the dude, it just mount came loose, the slide in piece, it can't slipped out of the
Hmm.
mount, and the GoPro flipped over the windshield, almost hit me, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Good thing I had it plugged in. I caught it, tucked it in behind the windshield. I was like, "Oh man, that could have been expensive."
Yeah, the Garmin, you know, the ones that they just clip on and clip off, and the mount's still there,
Yeah,
right? So, anyways, a lot of guys lose their Garmin electronics. They get in some rough water and it pops loose. Yeah, and
yeah,
that
they make a locking thing for it.
yeah, a little
DD26
clip.
does, and a couple other companies.
Hmm.
I do need to buy that. I have not bought that yet.
Yeah, you know
That
that's
is,
the one thing in a kayak when the water gets rough is one thing, but when you're in a boat and the water
hmm
gets rough, it's totally different.
it's violent.
So yeah,
It's violent.
you have to learn how to quarter them and drive the trough. So you know the wave goes, you know, like this, and you're in the bottom of the trough. And then you go up on the side of it and you get on top of the wave, and then you go down it, and then there's always the peaks, and you'll find out what a peak is. It just shows up out of nowhere, and you hit that and you get airborne, you know.
You hit the
Yeah,
water again.
yeah. And then you know, you see people, and the cameramen on the elites, you see them, they're like look like they're in pain, and you're like, what's wrong with the guy? Well, the guy's going 70 miles an hour in a 3-foot chop, and it just beating you to death.
It
you
hurts.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We
it's
had a
nothing
little
like a kayak. Yeah. So I
little
mean,
bit of
there's
a
a
chop.
learning curve on how to drive a boat. Definitely.
We had a little bit of chop
You'll learn real quick.
Friday evening. And dude, I'm ripping, coming around was all nice and calm, came up through the narrows. I'm like, oh, there's that chop. I'm not slowly got to slow down a little bit because it hurts. It's fun
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. When you start going from wave to wave and your prop sings in between the waves, you know you're going a little bit too fast and the waves are just right to where you don't have to worry about plowing or submarining your boat.
Yeah.
The first time you do submarine your boat, you'll think, wow, that was crazy. And what I mean submarine the boat, you literally you dive so you get to the top of the wave
That's
and
my
then
moment, Chuck.
it comes down into the next wave. Then you submarine, you go through that wave, then you pop out the next one, you know, and the boat's completely full of water. Yeah. And it pins you against the seat. You don't like fly out of it, but it pins you against the seat and fills your boat up. And then you're like panic mode because you think you're going to sink your boat.
Kind of find the belt switch
Which,
real quick.
yeah, automatic. You want to have automatic, but yeah, kick them all on and don't shut it off. Just keep going, you know. And if the boat has a tendency to start, instead of going from here, it starts going like this, like that. Make sure your buddy gets to the front of the boat. Add a little weight to it because you're gonna sink it. And
Yep.
so, yeah, it's a little different in a kayak compared to a bass boat. Although, when it takes us an hour to go 4 miles, right? Okay,
Takes you five
well,
minutes. Trust
yeah,
me,
not
I
even
know. I
five
know all
minutes.
about it after this
Not
weekend.
even 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, okay,
65
Yeah.
miles. We were on plane
yeah,
for about 5 minutes from the boat landing before the lower unit broke. Took us all 5 minutes to get there and all day to get back.
yeah. All day to get back is right.
All
Yeah,
day to get back.
yeah.
Yep.
You'll really
Hey,
See,
like a boat. Yeah.
sometimes I think about that, like how much time we spend going from spot to spot. Like, dude, there and back, some runs there's 40 minutes each way. And it's like,
Oh yeah.
man, how much time am I wasting on a fun day of fishing? Like making
it well
40-minute
Right.
runs in a kayak.
that's
Right.
why I bought it too with the kids. If we had a couple hours to take the kids out,
Yeah.
you can't do that in the kayaks. You can tow the boat there within 5 minutes you're on the water, and then another 5 minutes you're pretty much anywhere on some of these smaller lakes.
Yeah. Fishing.
And you're fishing already. So
Hmm. And the
it's
kayak,
it's
it takes you longer to set everything up.
yep.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
without even running anywhere. So it's good, dude. If it breaks, it's going to be expensive. Just forewarning you, boat parts ain't
That's why I
cheap
say just buy a new one and just make payments forever.
forever
Forever. Make
and
payments. Yeah.
ever till you die, Joey. And then you're
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
goal
Whatever
would
your
be to
Don't-
pay it
payments.
off with some tournament winnings, hopefully. But
yeah,
if
no
it doesn't
kidding.
doesn't pay, I'd probably have to get rid of it.
Well, let me tell you about winning money in tournaments. So by the time you put the fuel in it, pay for the entry fee, pay
Yep.
for the fuel to get to the lake, the oil, the maintenance, and everything else. If you break even at the end of the year, you've achieved
You're doing
something.
good. Yeah.
You've achieved something. Sponsorships, the guys and the elites get, some decent sponsorships and some money from them, but there's very few other people that get that. Very few. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about making money on it, Joe. It's about having fun. All right. You're gonna go
Yeah.
fishing
It's a
anyway.
hobby.
So you can't look
Yeah.
at it as, dude, I want this boat to make money. Because unless you're fishing, the damn Super 60 and winning at least one or two a year, you ain't breaking even on the boat. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I
you're
did my taxes this year and I had a good amount of tournament winnings from last year. And I'm like, dude, I didn't freaking I spent more than I earned. I'm like, how did that
Oh
happen?
yeah,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
happens quick. Yeah, when
It's
you're
eye
paying,
opening when you track your expenses.
you're
You're like,
ripping up
dude,
five
Oh
there's
packs
yeah.
of Sakamata shads in a tournament. It's not hard to add up the dollars quick.
entry fees alone is like
Yeah.
$5,000 for
Oh
yeah, it's
yeah.
insane.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, like with the BBTs, right? Is what we're fishing. I'm fishing this year. You're 250 all in, and if you're all in all the pots, I think the guys that in first place out of 53 boats took home like $3 grand, so about just over $1,500 a piece.
Oh, that's basically what we do.
Yeah,
Almost.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah, we get the kayaks get paid better.
Yeah.
You don't put
but
you don't go to the pump and squirt that high dollar stuff into your boat. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it,
Just
but
into the truck, but
just in the truck. Yeah, yeah.
it's still fun. You
It
can't
is fun.
if you like it. That's what I'm saying. Get out a couple times with somebody. Like I'll take you out when I got a free minute. We're up and running again, and see if it's something you want. You know what I mean? If you want to do it, then cool. By all means, man, just jump in and do it.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll
that's a
take
good
you out
idea.
too.
Try it.
I'll take you out.
But you
I
got to
got a
make
boat.
sure just if you buy one, make sure you got the funds. Which I'll talk to you later about it. But if you're buying a used boat, make sure you got some funds squirreled away for the what ifs. That's all I gotta say.
The
You know,
maintenance.
Yeah,
maintenance.
Things
I mean,
breaking.
you're talking $500 to $600 a year to have it serviced at least.
every
And
year.
then and then some things should be done more than every year. You know what I mean? Like your lower units, dude. Every 30 hours, 20 to $28 of oil for every 30 hours to save that thing's worth it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, and then take your prop off, check for fishing line.
yep.
That's what blows out your lower unit, blows the
That's
seal
not
out,
what
and then
I still don't know what did mine in. I don't know, man. I didn't have any water. I just changed the oil on Friday. I had no water, no nothing in it. I don't know what took it out. I haven't taken it apart yet to figure this part out. But it was weird,
it
dude. The boat
just
ran great. No vibrations, no nothing, dude. 65, 65, 68 miles an hour. We're cruising down the lake both days, and there she goes.
I had a lower unit freeze up on me, and I was going along, and it just went zoop, and the boat came to a halt, and I wasn't going that fast, and I'm like, what? And I cranked it over, it fired up, put it in gear, and it killed it. I said, uh-oh, low unit froze up. So a guy saw what happened, towed me in, which was cool. I was just out fun fishing, and it was under warranty. Showed up over there, they swapped, gave me a loaner until the one came in. When it came in, and they put in the new one. Yeah, yeah. So that's
So
the benefit of having a new boat.
yeah,
You know.
warranty is money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's just like with a
yeah,
truck, right?
yeah.
You
Same
know.
thing. Yeah, yeah. Except for a
just how
boat,
much?
man. I tell you, a boat, you just never know. And I
No,
found out, don't run it really, really hard all the time. Just cruise
Hmm.
around. Tournament day, run it a little hard. Yeah. To the first spot. And after that, don't run it super hard, but you can run it hard.
tournament day
Yeah.
wide open, Joey. Send it.
Risk it all.
Send it.
That's what I was doing Sunday morning. We were sending it, son. We had
Yeah.
may or may not have had that pedal pushed all the way to the floor.
That's fun driving, going fast. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I'm scared
typically
of,
typically run it a little not as hard. Definitely not on a non-tournament day. Just it's old.
yeah,
All the
cruising.
hours. Just cruising.
Yeah.
50's plenty fast enough when you're just cruising.
Yeah. Get a 21-foot boat, first of all. Don't get a
Yeah.
17
I'll
or
have a list of
18.
questions. Like,
Yeah.
I really don't know anything about the space yet.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, we're rambling on about all kinds of nonsense. It's getting late. I got to be at work
Yeah.
way too
Good
early
job,
tomorrow
Joey.
morning.
Appreciate it.
Congrats,
Congratulations,
dude.
Yeah,
Joey.
great job, Joe.
I might as well just permanently invite you onto the show and have you sit in the background because you're gonna win like every other tournament this year again.
Hey, it's
So
almost the end of April. It's the first time I've been on, so it's
that's
not
you know
too
what?
much
You're right. I'm
different.
sorry, dude. Reed beat you out that day. I thought for
You
sure I was
did.
bringing you on. I was like, God dang it, Joey again. Here we go. We're started off right
You
with the
can't
old
even be mad
Joey.
though. Like you can't when
No,
someone
you
draws 107, it's just like
can't.
that's actually really impressive. So
It was
Yeah, it is.
crazy, dude. That was
Amazing.
insane. So yeah.
yeah.
Well, dude, you've been killing it all year again. I mean, honestly, like it's crazy watching how much you've grown. Last 2 years has been the Joey show. He's got the mini Damien wall of achievements behind him.
That's
Yeah,
a good
working
thing.
on it.
Yeah.
Working on it.
So, yeah, dude, reach out to me. You got any more questions on other nonsense? And
Hold
or
on,
Sean.
before we go, hey Joey, did you know that that picture behind you gives you rabbit ears or
Does it?
cat ears?
No,
Yeah,
the past.
Oh, come on, man.
the fit.
Now I gotta adjust it.
Dude,
Yeah, there you
dude.
go. So when you look at the video, you'll see what I'm talking about.
How long have you been thinking that?
What's that?
Oh, probably,
How long have you been
probably all
thinking that?
show.
Yeah, the entire show. Like, oh, he's got cat ears. Yeah.
All
Oh
right, I
Sorry
man,
think it's
about
time to end
that.
guys.
it.
Hey, but for real, dude. If y'all are looking for batteries, go buy some bioenos. Because I kid you not, Matt and I are on the trolling motor uh, uh,
4
for
hours.
8 hours, dude, all goddamn day in that boat. And I don't have it lightly loaded. That boat is fully loaded. We had both live wells full. So you're talking 44 and a half gallons of water in the live wells with 23 pounds of fish. Matt and myself and the trolling motor on like 7 or 8 all day long. And I never killed my 100 amp hours on that thing, on that trolling motor.
Nice.
Dude, I didn't run it wide open because I wasn't sure what it was going to do, but we ran it pretty hot all day. And dude, I mean, I had those 300 amp hour, 12-volt batteries in there, and it ran that Garmin trolling motor like a dream. I mean, and I said, legitimately probably 6 miles away from the ramp ish. And then we went to the bank, however long that was. We we went way up some other stuff and past the ramp and back. And so if you guys are interested in some bioenergy batteries, Shane, tell them what they got.
10 TEN is your 10% code to bioenergy batteries.
That's right. If you want to be on the water all day long with a broken boat, buy yourself some bioenergy batteries. Save yourself 10%. Use the code word TEN at checkout. You guys, John was talking about the jaw dropper, which is one of the heads I like to use. That's a little different on mid trolling as well. It is a killer head. Pick them up. First Gen Fishing, Anglers RX 10 for 10% off there. And for all your kayak goodies, Headwaters Venture Company. Swap meet this
Yep.
weekend, Shane.
Swap
Are
meet
you
Yeah,
week.
ready?
Yep.
swap meet
So
Saturday.
there's swap meet Saturday. I'm heading up there. I'll be up there Saturday from 10 to 4. And then I think May 10th, which is the following weekend, is up at Rancho Cordova. So,
Yeah, grab that Outback for me.
sure.
Yeah, I got a PA 14 for you, John. I may need
I'm
some
still
boat
waiting for my
funds.
kayak.
I got two
uh,
PA-14s. I was thinking about getting that
it's funny.
Outback.
Right on. Hey guys,
All
thanks
right.
for watching, dude. We appreciate it. Joey, thank you for coming
Yeah,
on. It's always
Yeah, thank you,
congratulations,
Yeah,
Joey.
thanks
Joey.
for having me,
always
guys. Appreciate it.
Congrats.
always a hell of a time having you on, talking to you. I'm always learning shit from you, dude. It's cool. I can't thank you enough. Spilling a little bit of juice out there again. And guys, I don't know what tomorrow brings or next week brings, but maybe the winner of Clear Lake team tournament. Just saying. So
Yeah,
stay
maybe get
tuned.
the team on.
It might be Joe again. He might mid stroll his way to another 105-inch bag at Clear Lake and
If it's me,
take home
I'll
some
let
money.
Jesse do all the talking.
Yeah, he's a hell of he's a sneaky
Does he
stick too,
talk
man.
much? Jesse don't talk much. Does he
I
talk
know. That's why I
much?
want him to talk.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, he's a sneaky stick, dude. He's a hammer. So I
He
want to put
is.
it past you guys. So good luck this weekend.
Yeah, have fun.
Have fun, and we'll talk to you all later, and we'll see you next.